On Sunday, May 19th, I found more upsetting things on YouTube in my video comments. The comments didn't relate to anything about what was done in my videos, like me attending church. The comments gave out a link to a diary I had over 6 years. I haven't been in that diary because someone hacked into it years before, back in February of 2003. The diary was still online and public. When I read through it, it gave out disgusting detail of me abusing my calico cat Patches. For my curiosity, I went to Google search and searched Norna in the engine. The search brought me to other videos from a site called Veo. The videos on Veo wasn't nice ones at all. Whoever created the videos made me say things that I didn't actually say on my own videos. Searching more, I found another site, Rever, that a guy that had prank called my house. On the video, yes, he filmed it. He prank called to me. Good thing I was taking a bath at that time he called. I heard the phone ringing and Dad yelling at someone on the phone when I was in the bath. Because on the video I could see that he was dressed up like a lady, wearing a dark wig, lipstick, and eyeshadow, asking for Eeyore, the gloomy donkey from Winnie the Pooh. He also asked if he was calling for my last name. That is what had upset me the most. He used my last name on a public video. I swear I felt like I wanted to seek him down through the help of some computer geek like the character Kevin on Young and the Restless does for a job, and bust that guy up into tiny pieces with a baseball bat for saying my last name on a video. In his invasion of my privacy and safety. Didn't this idiot, this stupid fucking moron, know the dangers of the internet? After hearing my last name come out of this bastard's mouth, the phone calls started again. When the phone rang, the caller ID would read private name, private number. When Dad, Mom, where I would answer the phone, the caller would hang up right away. Mom contacted the authorities once again, and once again the officer came to our house. Mom explained about the phone calls to the officer again. The officer asked Mom if it would be possible to change our phone number or for the police to put a tap on our line. Mom was against doing those two things. We had a lot of family members and friends, over 200, and she didn't want to call all them up, letting them know about the new number, and the tap would be too expensive. Heck, the police probably won't be able to find who was really calling us, and so our money would go down the drain. I don't recall the exact date this next event took place, but it went something like this. I have a motherhood store in my mall, and when the phone calls started again, they didn't just phone my home, but other places in my neighborhood as well. The caller made it look like I was calling the motherhood store by having their caller ID read my phone number on it. The caller talked to someone in charge saying, "I am Nora, my dad fucked me up, and I need clothes." Next, that thing that happened was an officer was at my door, and I remember them talking to Mom about it. Mom told them that I would never do anything like that, told them about the phone calls, and the officer took note about it all. While watching Dr. Phil one afternoon, before they went to ads, there was some male voice asking if people had been cyberbullied and wanted to share their story. They could call the show. I remember thinking, man, do I ever have a story for you, Dr. Phil. Of course I couldn't call his show because Dad or Mom would have wanted to take me to LA to his studio because they didn't have enough money to travel there. It was in early June of 2006 when my friend Paul explained to me what caller ID spoofing was. He said that it is what the prank callers were doing, having my phone number appear on somebody's caller ID. It would look like a friend of yours would pretend they were the president calling from the White House and have White House appear on the display of your caller ID. The caller would also have what is called a voice changer. So when they would call me, I would sometimes hear a chipmunk on the other end, which was strange to hear. Later hearing that chipmunk's voice became a torment because the calls continued on every single day. I'm beginning to wish for those people to get tormented as much as they were tormenting me. Maybe when the police would catch a hold of them, they could be tormented in their jail cell night and day with something. Even if they would scream for the torment to stop, the police won't, is what I thought through my frustration. All I wanted was to be left alone. That is all. Why couldn't they respect that? Are they that stupid and dumb? I guess so, because I wasn't getting the phone. I guess so, because when I wasn't getting the phone calls, the harassment came through in my YouTube video comments. Someone called themselves with a YouTube name like Norna something and leave comments like, I don't know what eye you're looking out of. You need to get your lazy eye fixed. That's not all. There would be a name like Slow Norna commenting me, or Fat Slow Norna and Lazy Norna. You get the idea. With every name that I had seen, I had put them on block, and once I did that, I had found another name appear. The people, or was it just one person, didn't want to give up harassing me. Sometimes I would see more videos made on me on YouTube that they made by that guy who said my last name on the public video. He made me write on a corn dog like it was a broomstick, and I looked like some big fat naked witch with little devil horns on my head. Without Paul, I would have been stuck in the harassment so much more. Since the phone calls had started, I also put my MySpace and friends only privacy settings. In fact, I had one of the guy's friends try to catfish their way through to being my friend on MySpace. Paul messaged me on MySpace showing me a profile of a 14-year-old girl who has been messaging me. Looking through her friends list, I found that they had the guy who filmed the phone call. Right away, I took her off, blocked her, after finding them leave comment under the guy's profile. He said something like, "Woohoo! I'm on her friends list. All I gotta do next is write some fake entries on this fake MySpace and share her posts." She had me fooled by stating that her father is in jail for killing her mother, and everyone was making fun of her for that fact. I had felt sorry for them on what they told me and befriended them. If I continued to have them on my friends list under that fake profile, they would have known every private thought I had shared to my close friends, and would share to the bastard who gave out my last name on a public video. God knows what would have happened after that. Paul would help me out with computer problems that needed fixing by using remote assistance. It was fun watching him move around on my computer when he was actually 163 miles away. Paul and I would talk to each other on the phone almost every day of the week, or whenever he was able. We would just talk about random things and joke around. Paul is 14 years older than me, with 4 kids, and about the time back in 2006, he was thinking about getting a divorce. At midnight on Wednesday, July 5th, 2006, the phone calls became worse. I had counted about 20 calls until I decided to pull out my plug of our 4 phones. Yes, we had a lot of landline phones back then, before I had gone to bed. When I woke, Mom left for the doctor's appointment, and the phone call started up again. Again, I counted 19 of the calls. One of them were strange. I had the answering machine pick up the prank call. The caller made it sound like they were making a 2-way call to ASPCA, and they were calling me. They had my own phone number displayed on the caller ID. This girl, Nora, my last name, chokes her cat, and it's a serious and big concern for me. Before Paul and I first talked on the phone, I had made friends with this lady, R, on Thursday, July 13th, 2006. She'd sent me a private message on YouTube telling me she was laughing for 3 minutes straight at my pig squeal sounds. She also told me I needed to go to Hollywood with my talent. She explained that she is a singer, a writer, and have a teenage daughter named A. A also made YouTube videos of and shown her mom, R, one video of mine with me doing a pig squeal sound. The first time R messaged me on YouTube, she asked for my phone number. With getting all the prank calls lately, I was really hesitant with the fact that she wanted my phone number and giving it to her. After all, I remind myself, the rules of the internet is not give out your personal information. I gave in anyway, with also telling myself, well, R seems to appear to be saying enough, so I guess it won't hurt. So I gave R my number, and she sent me a phone call. She sent me her phone number. At first, she sent me her home phone, and she didn't want to do that because she was living with a man, B, who didn't want the phone number given to people, so she sent me her cell phone number. We became awfully close in our friendship. I began to believe that we must have known each other in a past life and met up with her again in the life I'm now living. In my emails to her, I was explaining I want to become an author and meet some authors, one of them being R.L. Stine. Meg Cabot and I had met on Friday, June 2nd, 2006 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I videotaped everything from my trip meeting her at her book signings. Meg Cabot is the author of the Princess Diary novels. Art had enjoyed watching my video of meeting Meg Cabot and was happy that I got her autograph in a book written by Meg herself. Art even told me that she wished for Meg's autograph. Sunday, August 6, 2006 was the first time I called Art, and she was quite surprised. She thought I would never call her. We continued to share stories of our grandparents, our favorite foods, and what we were going to do for the rest of the day. Mom got upset over the phone bill being over $60 with us talking to Paul and R, with me talking to Paul and R, and Dad talking to his friends from out of town and friends in the family. Paul suggested to me a few times in emails I should investigate on getting a cell phone. With getting my own cell phone, Mom wouldn't worry about the landline bill being too high. I believe this next event happened in September of 2006. I was viewing A's YouTube videos and noticing she had put her last name on her videos for credits, and that concerned me. I didn't want her to go through everything that I had gone through. This is why I shared my concern to R, and R got pissed off at me about that, emailing me back, "Fuck off, leave me alone, don't write me or call me anymore." I was crushed and hurt and devastated. I was only protecting A from what I have gone through with the prank calls, and here I thought R would understand. I thought of R as a big sister, and I felt like I knew her all my life. In fact, I thought R as a best friend. Why would a best friend act that way? After seeing that horrible, terrible email response from R, I ran into the half-bad bathroom where the living room was and locked myself in there for 2 hours crying my eyes out. At the time I was in the bathroom crying, I heard my computer notifying me of a new email. Did R write me back to apologize? I had to look and see. I unlocked the bathroom door and rushed over to the computer to find it was from Paul. He wanted to know what was wrong. I replied back with, "I'm crying now, leave me alone," and I rushed back into the bathroom. Paul kept emailing me and pleading me to talk to him, telling him what's wrong or to call him, but I didn't come out of the bathroom until an hour later. I gave him my number, and that's when he first called me. I was still in tears when he called me, and he was saddened that I was that upset. After explaining to Paul what made me so upset, he was telling me that R wasn't being a true friend. If she was a true friend and cared about me like she said she did, she wouldn't have acted the way she did. Paul had calmed me down on the phone, but after we ended our conversation a few minutes later, I think I recall him telling me that he had to go to the store. I still felt upset. However, I couldn't cry anymore since I felt like I had all cried myself out of tears. For a few days, I wasn't my usual bubbly, happy self. Paul noticed this too and suggested I write R an email telling her how rude she was to me. After all, Nora, Paul said to me in an email either in an email or on a chat on Yahoo Messenger, she shouldn't have swore like she did because you never swore at her. That's exactly what I did. I don't recall how R responded back to me, but maybe it was something around the lines of, "You're right, Nora, I overreacted, I'm sorry." A couple weeks later, she explained to me that she was bipolar. That would explain a lot as to why she overreacted. Maybe she had a bipolar episode. Wednesday, November 15th, 2006, another prank call took place. I found Paul's criminal record. It says he has a record of a violent temper. Thanksgiving, November 23rd, 2006. I had a rotten holiday due to how rude my sister was. Since my fans on YouTube asked for a video from my holiday I wanted to film, my sister demanded me to put my camera away by 2:30 because our guests were arriving by then. Telling Mom I would edit the guests out, I went on my merry way, ignoring my sister's demand. Sister noticed me filming, shook her head and mouthed to me, but I continued to ignore her. After eating a slice of pie, I announced that I was done. I don't know who said this, either Mom or my sister. "Don't be so loud." I took offense to that because, after all, I said it normally as possible. In a singing tone of voice, I piped up, "I am done!" Walking out of the kitchen and back downstairs to the computer, I heard Mom say she's gonna get slapped one of these days. Then my sister encouraged Mom and saying, "Do it! She needs to be slapped. She needs to be punished." MySpace message forward from my sister on Friday, November 24th, 2006. Hey, you fat bitch, do you know how bad you hurt Nora? How rude you are to her? Do you know that everyone who watches her videos thinks that you are fat, mean slut? The Jacob guy who wrote that message to her left a YouTube link to his message to my Thanksgiving video. Go to that link and read the comments. "You're so ugly, you aren't cute, you are so fat, you aren't skinny. So shut the fuck up and give Nora respect before she rips your fucking face off." My response back to him: "She just forwarded that message to me. Thanks but no thanks. I can stand up to her, but I need to practice. Don't email her again, and please do not forward this back to her. One more thing, they don't call her fat, they call me fat. I just ignore these asses that leave me notes like that." Saturday, November 25th, 2006. Sister called and talked with Mom about the message she received on MySpace. Heading to church at 4 p.m., Mom said the threatening next words, "You better not be filming me and putting it on the internet. If I find that you had done so, I will take your camera away from you. And no more YouTube for a long, long time." Because of Sister's not minding her own business, all because of Sister not minding her own business. Wow, pretty immature of her is my opinion. Talking this over to Dad a few days later, I told him I wouldn't film her or Mom anymore. It was Sister that didn't want to make sense of the compromise of mine. You don't get it, Dad, nor is invading Mom and mine's personal privacy. We don't want millions of people, half of which are sickos, looking at us. We don't want our faces on her YouTube. We don't even want our voices on her YouTube. Dad went to my defense with, "Nora does YouTube for fun. I don't see anything wrong with it. Others do this type of thing because they're bored, lonely, or depressed." People watching my YouTube videos didn't care about what other people in the background of my didn't care about other people in the background of the videos. They just cared to see what I was doing or saying in the videos. And that's what really mattered to them. Late October 2006, I grew worried about R not emailing me or calling me on the phone like she always done. I tried contacting her both ways for a few days. Got no response. Contacting Paul on the phone, I told him about how concerned I was. He asked me if he should call her. Maybe she was angry at me without me knowing and boycotting my calls and emails. This is why I had let him do that, forwarding her email she first sent to me. About 5 minutes later, my phone rang in my hand, expecting Paul to call back with updates. It rang. It wasn't Paul, but R's guy friend B calling on R's cell phone number. That's why I picked up before the first ring. R is resting, she's sick, and we don't need... And do we have to change our phone number because people like you are giving it out to strangers? Something like that, B said. Man, he was pissed. And for what? For Paul helping me out with contacting her, leaving her a message on her phone or cell? Calling Paul back, I told him about what had happened. See, Nora? That proves men like him are chicken shit. He doesn't want to call me and tell me these things. Instead, he called you back. During the whole month of October and November of 2006, Paul and I were talking about having him visit me. That couldn't happen since Paul's old guy friend, who is in his 90s, decided to go to the cabin another day early. The old guy friend had a cabin a few miles from where I live. Paul and I grew frustrated over his old guy friend who was dragging on the days like he was doing. Along with his old guy friend, Paul also had a stepdaughter, M, who was really sick with bone cancer. He had to rush to her bedside on Thanksgiving weekend, the weekend he was planning on visiting me, because she wasn't doing so well. She was having problems breathing. Sorry, I can't talk. Okay, back to reading. Early November 2006, Mom and Dad were uncomfortable with the fact on having Paul visiting me. To them, they didn't know him like I had done. Mom and Dad never had talked to them online or on the phone every day like I had done. They thought that Paul is one of those online predators that we hear stories about on the news or in movies all the time. I even got a comment on a video where I discussed about Paul's plans visiting me. The comment meant something like this: "I'm sorry to sound harsh, Nora. I would be pissed if my husband would cheat on me from someone he met on YouTube. I would think more carefully about this if I were you." This wasn't the purpose of him to visit me. He wasn't cheating on his wife, when really he wasn't having a great marriage for a long, long time. He explained to me that his love for his wife faded away a long time ago. All they did was fight, and that makes him depressed until he found me on YouTube. He told me I made him feel happy again inside, and watching me daily on YouTube helped him through the bad days. This went the same for other people who watched me. I remember getting private messages in my YouTube account saying something like, "Nora, I just want you to know that you saved my life. The day before I found your channel, I was thinking of suicide. I've been depressed all my life. Please continue doing what you're doing. You're awesome." When I first told Mom and Dad about Paul's plans to visit me one evening in November, I filmed my conversation with them. On the video, I remember them not being happy about the idea. I had posted it online right away, and a few minutes later, someone sent me a video response. Clicking on the video response, I had found it to be I had found it was from this lady calling themselves Smiley Love. She was in a dark room, but the colored lights in the background behind her were flickering on and off to make the video not so dark. I don't recall everything that she said, but I remember she was agreeing with Mom and Dad about Paul. At first, I was a little offended about what she had to say, and responded back. Again, I don't recall my response, but I figured she understood what I was saying, and we became friends. When December was nearing around its corner, I thought up for an video for R. R had let me know that her birthday is in December, so finding her favorite song on YouTube, The Rose by Bette Midler, I began to practice it. I even called my neighbor E to help me with the video by playing piano while I sang it. She was happy to help and told me she would look for the street music for The Rose. One afternoon on December 10th, 2006, I noticed A had uploaded a video on her YouTube and decided to check it out. While watching it, I was confused as to why A and her friend were calling each other retards. Why would anyone use that word at one another? It's an offensive stereotype word to use, and neither of them looked at all delayed in any way. I asked R about it. I asked R about this in the email, and a few minutes later, I received the following: "Nora, don't write me anymore. Leave me the fuck alone." Seriously? Doesn't R ever take her meds? Or better yet, see a therapist? Again, the message from R got me upset. All I was doing was asking her a question. She had to get all pissed off about it over nothing. Again, I thought we were best of friends and soul sisters. Why would a best friend act this way? I also felt worried that she wouldn't let this anger issue of her go, because if she would stay angry forever, I didn't want to surprise her with the rose anymore. This is why I called up E and canceled the video project. Oh, fuck her. Thursday, December 14th,